Good afternoon. Welcome to the tea table. I am so happy you have joined me today. It is the end of June. I cannot believe it. It has gone so fast, this beautiful first month of summer. Well, if you haven't gotten your tea yet, please pause and get your tea, and I'll be waiting for you. But I have chosen today a very special tea set. We are having a royal tea, and the country we're going to is Holland. Yes. And I thought, what can I do for a royal tea? Well, I love a silver tea set. And I went in my cabinet and I found the most beautiful gold, royal gold, with the lady and the man. He's singing to her, and it is all gold, and we are going to pour out. It is a strong, brisk black tea today. I like a little splash of milk, and some of you like it black. And here is the sugar for those who like sugar. I take my tea strong with a splash of milk. Should we try? My goodness, that is absolutely delicious. Well, I have some very special things today on my tea table. And the reason I came down this end of my home to do the tea talk is because of this gorgeous bouquet. I am just so enraptured. It's beautiful peonies complemented with the other early summer flowers. And it was brought to me last Sunday by a special girl, my son's girlfriend. And she said, I wanted to bring you peonies. And she had no idea how much I love peonies. I am going to try to grow them here next year, but I have so much shade, I just don't know if they would make it. But these are pink and white, and oh my goodness, is it just gorgeous? This is one of my biggest, I think it's, well, close to my biggest vase, and it just filled it up. So I put it in the center of my table, and I have these candles because they kind of go with it. They are these remind me of summer candle. The man and the lady, and in the lovely French European costumes. I try to put them here so you can see them, but I don't want to block these flowers. Well, then on the actual table, or I have these on a mirror, and I have a lady here with her beautiful, carrying her flowers. I love figurines, and this is the boy that matches. These are definitely European. And so I thought they were so appropriate. Well, let me show you the boy a little better. He is carrying flowers to the girl, and she's receiving the flowers. Isn't that lovely? So it's all flowers, and it just all seemed to go so lovely on the center of my table. And then I have the candelabras on either side. And I have a pink cloth with a little bit of lace on top. And I talked to you last time about my roses all falling apart. Well, look what I did. I just started putting the petals in this dish. And I should have started sooner. It would have been very full. It has a lovely little scent. It's going to be a little posy. Isn't that nice? So even the rose petals can be redeemed. And I just wanted us all to enjoy this gorgeous bouquet. I absolutely love when people bring me flowers because I do have flowers in my yard. I have these roses, but now the rain just literally tossed them out. They will have a second blooming in a few weeks, but I don't have a consistent. I have now my hydrangeas coming, and we'll probably bring a bouquet of those in. Then I brought this little cherry napkin to the tea table today. I thought it's getting ready for July. And I have a dessert. Yes, I do. Very special, old-fashioned summertime strawberry shortcake. Yes, the berries are out and they're being sold at the different stands and the stores, and they're just the most lovely summer dessert. Let's see where I can put that so you can kind of see it. Maybe we'll just tuck it in here. There, we have a full table. Well, I wanted to talk about the Dutch Royal House. We've talked a lot about England. We have talked about Austria and Sissi. We've talked about France and the past. We did a little talk about Louis and Marie Antoinette. We have talked about Germany and all of those different little houses of royalty that before the war, World War I, well, actually they were in the late 1800s, and then they all united in a united Germany under Bismarck. And that was when Germany became, it was, the 1800s was nation building. Even Italy, people don't realize, but Italy was all little townships in Italy. Even the Vatican was considered its own little city. And then in the 1800s, everybody wanted to come together and build a nation. And so they brought all the little duchies and kingdoms together and established Italy. Well, of course, we have the crown in Norway. We have a crown in Sweden. We have a king and queen of Denmark that are very important. Even though Denmark is such a tiny little country, that kingdom was very strong and actually ruled Norway. Norway didn't get its independence until actually the late 1800s, and when they really became, they had their crown and they knew who their king was, but they were under Denmark, but they got their independence. Every country loves their country. Every country wants to be independent and maintain their traditions, right? I know we do. We are very Americana. We have cowboys. We have Westward Ho. We have all of the heritage of the South, and people don't realize, but no other country had covered wagons with cowboys because our country was so big. And when you really stop to think about it, where I live in Washington State, it's new. It became a state in 1889. That is not that long ago. And Lewis and Clark came out and established the Northwest Territory. Yes. Well, I want to talk about Holland. I've always loved Holland. I've been to Holland several times. I love Amsterdam, and then there's the little city. I was in a little city called Alsmeer. I stayed with my friend and his family, the Dutch family. And Holland is very small to our way of thinking, but has an incredible history. And most of you have heard of Hans Brinker and the Silver Skates. Well, that was a book that was written by Maples, a lady named Mrs. Maples. And her father was from Holland, and she wanted to give the history. And so that story is not just about Hans and his sister and how he is such a noble young man and wins the silver skates. It actually, if you read the book, it gives you a complete history of Holland, because he goes on the ice and he talks about all the towns. And it was in those days, they had a river they called the Zuider Zee, and it made a Z, and it went through Holland, and most people were traveling by skate, or if you were very wealthy, you could have a little cart, and then the horse would be on the side and would pull you along, and like a sleigh. But that was only for those who were really, and not a lot of people had. It was quite a hard working country, because remember, Holland was taken from the sea. Holland, remember, they built the walls and the dikes to keep the sea out. And the Dutch are very hardy, strong, beautiful people. And that's why they have tulips, because you have to have a lot of water to grow beautiful tulips. Well, I was thinking about Holland this week because I watched when our president visited NATO, which was held in The Hague. The Hague is where the royal city is. Amsterdam is the big city that we all hear about, but The Hague has the royal palace. And the NATO gathering was held at the royal palace. And do you know that it had the first NATO meeting in 1949 after World War II, when the nations gathered to establish peace for Northern Europe. It's, NATO is the Northern Atlantic Treaty Organization. So it involves the northern countries of Europe that sadly were in two tragic wars, World War I and World War II. And so there's this cry for peace. So they hosted it. Queen Wilhelmina actually hosted it, and it was held in The Hague, and it was establishing these nations to come together, because if you look at Europe, it is like the size, Northern Europe is the size of America. So they have all these little countries, and if they were to be attacked, they need to be together and defend one another. So they made treaties, signed papers, and to work for peace, which we all want. Yes. So it's fascinating because I saw the king, and he and his wife greeted all the different NATO nations that came, and they had this fabulous dinner in the palace. Now, I wrote it down because the king gave an explanation. I was watching all of these dignitaries come, representing little nations like Lithuania, Estonia, Bulgaria. They're all there, and they all want to be free, and they want to be united in peace. Isn't that beautiful? Well, The Hague is called the City of Peace and Justice. And this was the first time since NATO's founding that they met in The Hague. It was founded in The Hague, and then it has gone to different countries. Well, there's something else interesting. In 1899, the first Hague Peace Conference happened. Now, 1899, and it was Queen Wilhelmina hosted it, but it was Tsar Nicholas from Russia II who initiated it. So a group of nations came and they wanted to establish peace. This is 1899. This is before World War I. And they knew that Europe there were people underneath wanting war and they wanted peace. And so then Queen Wilhelmina, she brought them to her summer palace. And that is where that is in The Hague in 1907. And they did three things. They codified the laws of war. They made laws that you couldn't just kill civilians. You can't just go hurt people. I mean, war is so terrible, but now we have a Geneva Convention. But this was codifying laws of war, reducing armaments, and establishing a method of peace to settle disputes. If we can do diplomacy and talk before a big war breaks out. And they established a permanent court of arbitration. Arbitration, for the children that are watching, is a give and take. It's a compromise. It's when people come together and they discuss and they arbitrate and they try to work out their problems. Yes. Well, it's called the Huis ten Bosch Palace. And this event, this peace event that Wilhelmina had, was held in the historic Orange Hall. And that was back in when she first had the conference back in 1899. And just this week, the king held the royal dinner for everyone to come, beginning the NATO conference. And the reason I'm talking about this, I saw the room. Ah, it's so beautiful. It's like 50 feet tall inside. It's like a cathedral. Beautiful painting all the way up. I thought, I have to research this. Where did that come from? Is it Rembrandt? No, but it's a group of Dutch artists that painted in the style of Rubens, 17th century, and it's called the Orange Zaal. Well, that's the Dutch name for the Orange Hall. Orange is because they call themselves the House of Orange. Yes. And the this beautiful hall was done in the 17th century, and it was to honor King Frederick Henry, the Prince of Orange, for all his military campaigns. And so I couldn't quite get all the information, but it looks to me like it's pictures of him achieving his military campaigns. And so here I was so taken. They had candelabras taller than I have ever. I love candelabras. These candelabras were so tall on the table, they were above the heads, which is a cool idea. That means you can see your people you're talking to. And then they had lighting chandeliers coming down from the top, reflecting in this glorious candlelight. And all these leaders of the world dressed so beautifully, and the women in their gowns, the queen was dressed beautifully, the king, and they were so happy. This had been planned way back. These kind of events are planned years in advance. And our president got to come right when they had achieved peace in the Middle East. Now we're all holding our breath. We're not naive, but at this moment, we have a ceasefire, which is the first time. And it happened right before this peace conference. And the king was talking about it. He was so happy. And the man, Rutte, that was leading it, I believe he is the prime minister of Holland. Or no, he's not. He is the head of NATO, but he's Dutch. He was the prime minister before. They were all so happy because here to have this good news coming right in the door with all this beauty. Oh my goodness. I thought we have to, because last week, no one knew what was happening. Remember last week? And I talked about prayers for peace. We talked about royal ascot, but we talked about prayers for peace. So now we have to thank God that he answered that. And so at least for now, hold our breath and keep praying. Yes. You know, war is so terrible. It affects so many people, so many ways. It's just not worth it. No. So in The Hague is another place that I didn't see, but it's called the Peace Palace. The Peace Palace, and it has the court of the United Nations. It was built by Carnegie. He came after the 1907 Peace Conference and gave the money to build this separate building called the Peace Palace, where NATO also meets and different groups to try to keep the peace. So I discovered through watching this and hearing this and studying this, Holland is so important in this process. And Queen Wilhelmina, think of her. She had the peace conference, 1899, 1907, and then World War I broke out. And Holland suffered, all the countries, and she was queen during that time. And then World War II happened and she was still queen. And she had to guide her people through. I believe that she had to leave in World War II because they were Nazi occupied and she had to flee to England. Winston Churchill called Queen Wilhelmina the man. She's strong as a man. She holds her own and she led her country. Well, I remember in reading Corrie ten Boom's book, The Hiding Place, she talked about Queen Wilhelmina. So Queen Wilhelmina is an institution. She's somebody we need to study and know more about. And this king, current king, very handsome, and his wife is so beautiful. They have 3 beautiful children. He's carrying on, and he was speaking so highly of his grandmother, Wilhelmina. Isn't that lovely? Well, I didn't forget. I brought a little purse, and I thought, if we're going to the palace, isn't this a nice little purse? It's summer for flowers with pearls, but black, and has several colors. So it has a beige, a white, a dusty rose, a pinky rose, a black, a navy, and pearls and gold. They thought of everything. It can go with any outfit. Now, I thought, I'm going to wear pearls today, and that's why I wore, you can barely see this, but I have 2 necklaces that have pearls at the bottom and pearls along. And this is a special necklace. When I was looking for my pearls, this is Edelweiss. So it's perfect for NATO, Northern European. And then this is an old pin that is, you know, the Europeans, the royal family in England, they are always wearing brooches on their right side. On their coats, they wear brooches, and they wear brooches on their suits and even on their dresses. We don't wear as many brooches. I generally, because I wear a lot of shawls, I'll use my brooch to pin my shawl. But I thought, this looks just like something they would wear, doesn't it? Yes. So I'm going to honor with pearls, beautiful camellias, oh my goodness, and the other flowers. I don't know all the names, but they're just lovely. 4 different types of flowers. And then the lovely summertime statuettes, the strawberry shortcake, the silver tea set, the gold cup. Yes, this is royal. This is the kind of china they would use. You know, every royal palace has many, many, many sets of china. And our White House, the White House, the president will choose, each one chooses their china, but then they also have the access to all the other china. So when they have a state dinner, which is what we're talking about, they have a choice. Incredible. And Queen Elizabeth, oh my goodness, she has so much china. Can you imagine? And when I was in Austria, in Vienna, and visited the Sissi Museum and the Hochschule there and the Habsburg Palace, they had an entire floor, not a room, a floor of different silver sets, different china sets. She had received as wedding gifts full sets of china. I mean, like hundreds of pieces, like not just a cup and saucer, a salad plate, a dessert plate, but a soup bowl, and then the dinner plate, and then another dinner plate, and then all of the extra pieces, the serving dishes, the teapot, the coffee pot. And so they had it on display, and it was absolutely fascinating. At that time, when Sissi was the queen, it was in the 1800s, the King and Queen of Japan set them a beautiful set. Queen Victoria set a beautiful. Each country had sent, that's what they gave as wedding gifts. Isn't that fascinating? So China is a real statement, and it's fun. And we're trying to be as royal as we can in our own little way today. Yes. And I thought pearls for an afternoon, if I were going and I was meeting the King of Denmark and his wife, and I was being presented in an afternoon setting, this is what I would wear. I would probably wear black or navy. I would wear a fitted suit, and I would wear pearls or traditional jewels and something to sparkle up here. Yeah. And you can wear a hat, but sometimes a hat gets awkward when you're inside. I love hats, but hats are nice when you have more space. Like if you have a garden tea party, then you have the room for the hat to not bump into or block people. So this is just kind of a little hat crown pearl. Put it together for you today. There. Well, thank you for joining me. And study this on your own. And with all of our wonderful phones now and our YouTube channel, you can look it up and look up the state, or what, let's see, it would be the NATO state dinner given by the King and Queen. It was the evening that started the events. And worth seeing that fabulous room. It would be as if you're sitting in a room, and on both sides, all the way to the ceiling, and the ceiling all painted. Like a Sistine Chapel. Every inch was covered with art. There were over 12 artists that contributed. Isn't that? And that was in the 1700s. I know I gave you a lot of dates, but hopefully I made it clear. That is my goal. And just as a way to say Happy Holland, I have so many Dutch things in my home because I love Dutch. I love Holland. And some people, we're shoemaker. My husband said some people thought that they were part Dutch. It always was a toss-up. Were they Dutch, German, or English? There's 3 types of shoemakers. But his father used to always talk about the Dutch, so we don't fully know. But I love Holland. I love the cozy people. They have a little bit of room, and so they make every inch count. I remember my sister and I being in a little restaurant in Holland, and we went to use the ladies' room, and it was just a little closet, and they had made it so cute. Each inch was covered there with art. You know, the great Dutch school of art, Rembrandt, Rubens, you know, Van Dyck, they're all, the Rijksmuseum is just packed with beautiful art. And Holland had the great scholars, Erasmus. Holland was such a great country that they took in the pilgrims. When the pilgrims were trying to get to America, remember they first went to Holland. And Holland had shipping and boats, and they had wealth. So this is a little Dutch belle, just a little Dutch girl that I have sitting. And I thought I'll show you her. And then this is a sweet little boy and Dutch girl kissing. Yes. And this is kind of special for us because we're shoemaker. It's the shoemaker carving wooden shoes. And then I have one thing that is so different. I have different plates on my kitchen wall from different countries that I've collected, but I've never had a square one like this. This is so unique, and it's Holland. Isn't that very, very, most of them are round. Now I'm going to tell you what this says, if I can get my glasses on. It says Delft's made in Holland, Westraven handwerk, and it's all in Dutch. But it's a nice square plate, and I have it near my kitchen sink. I love, for my kitchen, I've always had a blue and white kitchen with Dutch and Scandinavian decorations and things because it helps me work. I get inspired. We have to work hard in our kitchen, right? I like to see color and life, and usually the Dutch scenes, the people are working. They work hard. Hardworking people. Well, we haven't even talked about their intellectual heritage. Basically, they're the Reformed Church. They were people of the Bible. They loved the Bible. Beautiful hymns, Dutch hymns, beautiful cathedrals throughout Holland. And the Dutch people really sing with all their heart. Good musicians, good pipe organists, many pipe organ makers in Holland. Yes, and there's much education. And there was the Free University of Amsterdam that was very famous and still is very, very famous, and was founded really by a man that was Dutch Reformed, Abraham Kuypert, and he was a prime minister for a while and really established much great law and order in Holland. They're a very orderly people. Yes. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. I don't want to go too long, so I am going to say flowers. Let's see. Oh, wow. They smell so nice. And tea, strawberry shortcake. What else do you need for a beautiful June tea party? So have a beautiful week. And if you get to go to a tea party, wear a hat or carry a nice purse. Dress up, have fun. Summertime is a wonderful time for outdoor tea parties. And if you don't get invited to one, why don't you have one for your friends? Thank you so much. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, push the notification bell. And if you have a comment, I love it. If you liked it, a like. And please share with your friends. Everyone is welcome to the tea table. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous week. And next time I see you, it will be July. Yes. God bless. Bye-bye.